This episode was made possible thanks to generous supporters on Patreon. If you want to understand how to properly count this, watch until the end of the video. In the previous episodes, I explained about the basic and advanced altimeters and how to count them. This, however, is just half of the story when it comes to meters and grooves that you can experience while listening to complex music such as jazz or progressive rock and metal. A major part in this are tuplets and polyrhythms, but since these two are quite extensive topics themselves, I will do separate videos for each one of them, and today I will be dealing with tuplets and different variants and how to count them. You're probably already familiar with the concept of tuplets, mostly because their most familiar form, which is the triplets. In case you're not, a triplet is a group of three notes, for example quavers, that are played for the same time as two normal quavers. Of course, this means that are slightly shorter, otherwise they wouldn't fit in. Using the syllables method from the previous videos, you can watch them up here, I can demonstrate to you how simple triplet looks like and feels like when integrated. So we're having a simple measure of 4/4 and we're putting a triplet at the end of the bar. So we will have two quavers on each beat, and on the last one we will have a triplet instead of the two, so it will be taka 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 ta. Normally tuplets or other changes like that are the easiest when they are played at the end of the bar, so this is why I'll be using all of the examples like that for your convenience. The same logic as you found in the triplets applies to other groups like quintuplets, sextuplets, and so forth. And for example, the quintuplets would be 5 semiquavers or 16 notes, which are played for the same time as 4 normal quavers. So using the same 4/4 bar, we will have 4 semiquavers for each beat, and on the last one we will have a quintuplet. So it will be taka 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 taka. The same thing happens with sextuplets, which are 6 instead of 4, and then septuplets, which are 7 instead of 4, and then if you want to play 8 instead of 4, it's already demisemiquavers or 32nd notes. And then the logic continues the same way. 9 instead of 8 would be nonuplets, and you can increase this number up to 9. You can increase 9 up to 15 instead of 8, because on 16 it already jumps into the next category, which will be hemi, demi, semi quavers or 16/4 notes, which honestly I doubt that you will ever encounter, because this is too high value to have real practical application. So a quick example of sextuplets, since it's quite a prominent thing to play, it's I will use the same 4/4 bar, so it will be taka 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 taka. And if we play it with 7, it will be taka taka taka. like 7/8, small 7/8 put inside of the beat, so it will be taka 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 taka. Other versions of tuplets which are commonly neglected, and quite often they could be longer than the normal value of the notes, and these are duplets, quadruplets, octuplets, and basically you can imagine even larger numbers, but these are something that you can actually use. These normally happen when we have a time signature which pulsates on 3, like 6/8 for example. 6/8 has 2 beats, and both of them have 3 notes each, 3 quavers. So it will be taka ta 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 taka. So if we put duplet on the second beat, it will be 2 instead of 3. So these ones will be longer. So it will be taka ta taka, taka ta taka, taka ta taka. And we can play quadruplet, which will be 4 instead of 3. So in this case it will be taka ta taka 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 ta taka 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 ta taka 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 ta taka taka. I won't go up to octuplets because it follows the same logic. You can imagine this on your own. Now I hope it doesn't look so complex, and of course you need some time to process these informations. It's a challenging thing if you've never encountered it, and I prefer to let this sink in instead of uselessly prolonging this video with endless examples, because as I said, this topic is quite extensive and one can get very creative with these examples, and it makes no sense just to keep repeating the same thing over and over again. So let's move ahead. If we continue challenging our brains even further, there is this thing called nested toplet. The easiest way to understand this is to think fractals. Imagine that we have again the simple 4/4 measure on semiquavers. Taka 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 taka. Then we put the quintuplet at the end, just like we did previously, and it will be taka 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 ta. And then we put a triplet inside the quintuplet at the end. So the last 2 notes, instead of these 2, we will play 3. And this 3 here, this triplet, this will be the nested triplet. So this structure, the small structure, will be taka ta taka ta. It sounds a little bit weird, I know, it's a total mind twist, but let's break it down. Again, we have the quintuplets, so we have taka taka ta normally, and then taka ta, and then instead of kata, and this is where we put the triplet, so it will be taka ta taka ta. And if we repeat it several times just to get used to it, it will be taka ta 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 taka ta. When we get this construction, the quintuplet with the nested triplet, and we put it in the whole structure, we will get this thing which is taka 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 ta taka ta taka 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 ta ta taka. Okay, nevertheless, this is exactly what happens with the riff I played in the beginning. So these are the semi-quaver parts, so taka 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 taka, and then the quintuplet at the end. These are the first three notes, and this is the nested tuplet. So this is only the quintuplet with the nested tuplet, and when we play the whole thing, it will be Of course, to gain a better understanding of all this, because I'm sure it's quite a mess right now, you need some Today's exercise for you is to write down on paper all these examples that I showed you and to turn on a metronome on a slow tempo, and then to practice them using these syllables or use your own if this one feels stupid. After you gain some confidence with that, try moving the toplet on a different beat, because as I said, using it at the end of the bar usually is the easiest way. So try putting it on the third, on the second beat, or the first, since we're talking about 4/4, but you can do it on 3/4 or any other measure that you decide to use. Really, it's better to get creative with that, because the more examples you manage to pull off, the better for you. And finally, when you get really comfortable with all these things with the toplets, then you can move to the nested toplets, and then you can start experimenting with moving the nested tuplets on a different place inside the given toplet that you decided to use. And you can imagine that here the possibilities are pretty much endless, so you can get entertained for quite a long time. So that's everything for today's episode. I hope you guys like it. Thank you very much for watching, and if you like what I do, consider supporting me on Patreon up here or on the links down in the description, where you can get all kinds of interesting materials, like for example the notations of these examples and the tabs of the riff that I showed, and membership starts as low as $3 per month. Also, subscribe to my channel and click that bell button to get informed when I upload a new video. See you next time, and remember, practice makes perfect.